questions.
Well, it's great to be here. I kind of gave an opening deal in there, right?
Totally different room.
Okay. Great to be here. If you haven't been to the College Hall of Fame, I think you ought to visit it. It's an absolutely impressive facility. My wife and I and two sons, Jackson and Whit, about 2-3 years ago came through the facility. And it was absolutely impressive. A lot of good things going on in Columbia, South Carolina. I'm really proud of two things, especially our new operations facility, which will be finished in December. The Ken and Cindy Long Family Football Operations Center. We appreciate their generous donation, but it's 110,000 square feet, $50 million. Will house multiple nutrition stations, a dining facility, coaches' offices, meeting rooms, team meeting rooms, players' lounge, barber shop, training facility, training room, weight room, 20,000 square foot weight room. So everything you need to be a student athlete to be developed in is going to be in this facility. And it shows the commitment and the investment that we have at the University of South Carolina to our football program, and it joins our indoor. So it'll be as nice a development situation as there is in the country. But academically, we finished first in the graduation rate last year in the Southeastern Conference and third in the country. We finished last spring with a 2.87 cumulative GPA, which is third highest in school history. So really proud of two things off the field. I thought we made some good progress in spring with our football team. Offensively, you'll see a remarkable difference in tempo of game and being able to dictate the tempo of the game offensively. I was excited how that went in the spring, and defensively I think we're improving ourselves up front with some really good young talent coming in, and we need to continue to do that. And I'll open up for any questions.
Just a reminder, if you'll raise your hand, we'll get you a microphone. We'll start on the camera platform in the far back right.
Hey, Coach, back here. I was wondering if you could take a moment just to kind of look back on how influential you were on Kirby Smart's early coaching career. I know you guys both started out together pretty young, and whenever you have a moment in your busy schedule, do you ever have time to kind of reflect on how far you guys have come since then?
Yeah, I don't know how much influence I had on his career. I think as much as anything, I was a defensive coordinator at Valdosta State. Kirby, I want to say he was with the Indianapolis Colts, and he got cut and was looking for a job, and we needed a secondary coach. So he actually lived with Carol and I for about 6 months down in Valdosta when he started the job, and we had a lot of fun. Chris Hatcher was our head football coach. We had a really good offensive football team. We were just okay on defense, but we really had a lot of fun coaching together. Bouncing ideas off each other back and forth, and really enjoyed that time. And then I left and went to LSU the next year, and he stayed on and became the coordinator there at Valdosta State and did a fantastic job, won a national championship with Chris. He wanted to put himself in a Division I situation and left to be a graduate assistant at Florida State. And when we had an opportunity to hire a secondary coach, I recommended him to Coach Saban, and Coach Saban interviewed him and felt very comfortable about hiring him and probably just took off from there. So, but I've got a tremendous respect for him as a football coach, and he's a really good friend of mine.
Go down here on the left side, front row, far left.
What has Brian McClendon done to unlock what has frankly been a pretty stagnant offense despite considerable talent?
Well, I think as much as anything, and I would disagree with you from last year. We lost Debo Samuel, we lost Rico Dowdle, we lost 4 offensive linemen within a 5-game situation, which was very difficult to overcome. But with that being said, we had 2 true freshmen that played for us last year with Shi Smith, who really developed himself. I always say that one man's misfortune is another man's opportunity. Brian Edwards went into our feature role as a receiver, and Ortre Smith played as a true freshman for us last year. So you had 2 true freshmen playing at receiver and really played at a high level. But I think as much as anything, the tempo is going to help us a lot. I think Jake plays better when we play fast. We have about 80 starts returning on our offensive line, and this will be our best line that we've had since I've been at South Carolina. I really like our skill position players at the receiver position. Obviously, getting Debo back helps. And the tight end position, we lost Hayden Hurst, who's a fantastic football player, first-round pick for the Baltimore Ravens. But Casey Crosby is a guy that really had a good spring and can block at the point of attack. He's also a very valuable guy as far as his hands are concerned. Jacob August, Kiel Pollard, Evan Henson, Kyle Markway's healthy at the tight end position. And we've had a good stable of backs because of injury. We've got some experience and some quality depth at the position.
Go over here on the right side, front row, on the aisle.
Well, I'm not sure if you've ever addressed it, but why all black on game day?
I look skinnier. It's true. It helps. I need all the help I can get. Frank Martin tells me to wear loose shirts. I don't untuck my shirt on game day. I won't look very good.
We'll go over here to the front row on the left side.
Coach Gus Malzahn today said that he thinks Bobby Bentley could be a coordinator or even a head coach in
Sure.
the SEC. Just how have you seen that maybe in his short time so far at South Carolina?
Well, first of all, Bobby's a wonderful person. He's just as good a person as you'll ever meet, but has a really good eye for recruiting. He works his butt off. He's made a difference in our program for some of the guys that he's gone and signed. There's no doubt about that. And a really smart football coach. I don't care what level you're on. When you win, you win. And he won a bunch of games at Burns High School, and he's done an outstanding job of transitioning to college and the different things that you go through as far as the recruiting and those things, and he has been excelled at those things. So I agree with Gus.
We'll go over here to the right side, all the way to the end on the front row.
With your experience in the SEC and coaching defenses, can you ever remember a time when the league was this deep at quarterback, and just how have the challenges changed of planning for some of these quarterbacks over the years?
Well, I think 10 of 14 are back in our league, and I think everyone back on the East except for Kentucky. But a lot of really good players. Drew Lock is a guy on our side that's got a howitzer for a right arm. Jake Bentley's a very good football player. Shermer at Vanderbilt I really like a lot. He really hurt us in the throwing game last year in our game down there in Columbia. So there's a lot of quality players. Jake Fromm is a true freshman. Well, the job he did at Georgia was fantastic. So I think as much as anything, the RPOs are a little bit of an issue now because it forces you really, if you want to stop a lot of the RPOs, you got to play man coverage. To be able to stay on the routes. And then if you don't match up well outside, then you create a lot of issues for yourself. You can't cover a guy. So you've got to be multiple in what you do, and certainly when a quarterback's on, it's very hard to defeat a guy if you can't get him off rhythm. And that's what I was asked in the big room earlier, what's the one thing we need to take a step forward defensively? We need to rush 4 guys better. We need to be able to affect a quarterback with rushing 4 guys because you can't get into a pressure deal all the time in playing man coverage. Too much chocolate cake will make you sick, and that'll dang sure make you sick.
We'll go over here to the left side, standing in the back.
Coach, you obviously worked for Chris Hatcher early on. He's now at Sanford, and I guess you could call him an energetic and maybe an eccentric kind of guy.
Yeah.
Do you have a good Chris Hatcher story, and do you have a good impression of him?
I don't have a good impression of him, but he is an outstanding football coach, won a national championship at Valdosta State, and really brought that program back to the Division II prominence that it needed to be. Very innovative in what he wants to do offensively. He's got a great imagination, an outstanding recruiter, relates with everybody in the room. But I'm a big Chris Hatcher fan.
We'll go over here to the right side in the second row of the camera platform.
Coach, where have you seen the most growth in Jake Bentley over the last couple of years, and where does he need to take the next step to take this team further this season?
Well, I think, as you look at it, Jake's just finished his second year as a starting quarterback, and sometimes in the quarterback process, you're able to sit and watch for a couple of years. You're able to work on your fundamentals. You're able to work on your reads. You're able to really be keen and sharp in what you're trying to do. And Jake wasn't able to do that. He had to play as a high school senior and did a phenomenal job of turning our season around. He was voted co-MVP along with Debo Samuel by his teammates his freshman year, which should have been his senior year of high school. So that says everything to me, the respect he's got in our organization. He's been a very productive player. We've cleaned some things up, we think, as far as some plant foot things that Dan wanted to work through. Jake feels much more comfortable with that, and he's got to take care of the football better, especially in some big games as far as turning the football over. That's something we can't afford to do, but I'm glad Jake Bentley's the quarterback at South Carolina, I can tell you that.
Go over here to the left side, standing in the back.
Hey, Coach. With Jake Bentley being a part of the Manning camp, how do you think he benefited from that and maybe even helping in his leadership roles going into this season?
Well, the Manning family does just a great job, number one, of running a camp with my son Jackson. We went the previous 2 years, and to watch the structure of that camp is absolutely amazing with the number of people they have there. But, Archie Payton and Cooper and Eli do a great job of reaching out to the college quarterbacks. They have some sessions where they talk scheme with them. They talk leadership with them. And I think any time that you can, share knowledge with a coach or a player to gain something that's going to help you as a player or help you as a coach, it's always valuable. And the Manning family is all about giving back. And I think that's what I've seen in being a part of that camp, and certainly has made a difference for Jake.
Go over here to the right side, standing in the back.
Coach, with so much talent at the quarterback position in the conference, what does Jake Bentley do that sets him apart from the Jake Fromms, from the Jarrett Stidhams, and the guys like that?
Well, I guess each quarterback's his own guy, and you know, we play to Jake's strengths, and I think number one, that's going to be playing fast with a better tempo. He processes extremely well. He processes extremely fast to get the ball out, and he's very accurate with the football. You're talking about a guy that in 2 years has completed over 60% of his passes. So we've got to continue to accentuate his positives, and we need to play better around him. We went through a lull last year. We lost 3 or 4 offensive linemen for about 5 games. We had a hard time protecting him, although our numbers from 2016, we about cut our sacks by about 16 or 17 sacks, from about 43, 44 to 25 or 26. Which was outstanding. So, I think that we need to play better around him. When we lost some weapons last year with some injuries, it was tough.
Go over here to the camera platform on the left side in the back.
D-line, but talking about the secondary, you lost a lot of guys from last season that started. I know that you take pride in the physicality and especially the way those corners played the last couple of years. What are you going to be looking for?
Our guys physical at corner? Come on, man.
I thought King stuck his head in there a little bit.
No, come on. Montague says he.
Corey thinks he was physical.
Corey who?
Your boy Corey Miller.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. We need to get more physical at that position.
But aside from the physicality then, what are you looking for some of these guys that are
Well, number one thing is you got to be able to play man-to-man, because in our league, you're going to have to get some deny the ball downs where you've got to man up and play man coverage. Being able to break on the ball and play with zone instincts, that's going to be very important as well. Capitalize on opportunities to create turnovers. We need to be an opportunistic team. We do, T-Rob and our defensive staff have done a fantastic job the last 2 years of emphasizing turnovers and creating momentum plays for our football team. So I think that's really important. And then tackling and being physical would be welcomed by the head coach.
We'll go back here in the middle camera position on the front row.
Coach, you've had the opportunity to be a part of several SEC Media Days. You mentioned the College Football Hall of Fame earlier. What do you think about this event being here in Atlanta?
Well, I think it's great. It's a shorter flight from Columbia, so that's a positive thing. So, but it's all good.
Go down here to the left side on the front row.
How different is DJ Wanham from the guy that came on campus a couple of years ago? How has he kind of grown as a person and really as a player?
Well, I think DJ's as good a young man as you'll meet. I mean, just as very consistent in everything he does in his life. Off the field, football, in the meeting room, in the weight room. You know exactly what you're going to get every single day with DJ Wanham. But as much thing as a player he's improved is his strength. His first year he had a hard time at the point of attack, holding against some of the 300, 330-pound offensive tackles, leverage with pad level. But the thing about DJ is you tell him it once, it's done. You don't have to repeat it over and over again. It's not etch and sketch with this guy. I mean, he gets it. So this is a guy that really learns well. He's able to retain information from day to day and week to week, and a guy that is an absolute joy to coach.
Go to the front row of the camera platform over on the right side.
Hey, Coach. This is not a trick question, maybe just not a football question, but when you were 16 years old, what was your dream car?
Anything. I had a 1982 Cutlass. The radio didn't work, and the rearview mirror, we didn't have a rearview mirror, I don't think, in it. My dad said it was all right, don't worry about it, just don't look back, keep going forward. So that's what we did.
So, but that was your dream car? Like, that was your car, but what was your dream car? Like, what was the car you envisioned yourself wanting to have?
I'm not into cars. I was just happy to have something.
Go up here to the second row on the left side on the end.
Do you guys anticipate wearing a helmet that's not black, white, or garnet this season?
No.
Go to the camera position in the back, far right at the top.
Coach, with the success you guys have had in recruiting, the players you guys are bringing back, and the changes that you have made on your coaching staff, why do you feel like this year is the year where you guys really, contend in the SEC East and really make some noise in the conference, and not even this year, but even years to come?
Well, again, I think recruiting is the lifeblood of your program. It all comes back to players. I think we have an outstanding coaching staff that does a really good job of coaching and teaching and developing players. And that's what it's all about. And I've been very pleased with how our staff coaches and teaches and develops. And I'm very pleased with where we are at this point. I'm ecstatic about the investment that our administration has made in our football program. That's going to make a difference You know, people want to always ask me, what's going to be different about South Carolina? It's the investment we're making. So when a young man comes on our campus, he sees the new operations facility and realizes we're serious about having a championship program. And it takes investment to get something out of it, and that's what we're willing to do. So it all goes back to recruiting to me. It's the lifeblood of your program, and you've got to recruit at a high level to be able to achieve the goals you want to achieve.
Go over to the left side, front row.
The RPOs and then trying to run fast. How do you balance maybe giving Jake enough time pre-snap to read a defense to know what to do with the ball and trying to go pretty up-tempo?
Well, I think as much as anything, I go back to the spring game. We don't get a line defensively. He hits a hole shot in cover 2. The safety's not there because he's misaligned because he's lazy and doesn't get lined up. And that's where, when I talk in terms of processing information, when I talk in processes of making a decision, he is very good at that. So he sees people out of positions and situations, and that's really what you go back. You know, it's funny, you talk in terms of some hurry-up teams, and you say that they're a physical team. Well, sometimes they're really not physicals because the defense doesn't get lined up. And fatigue makes cowards of us all. And a 300-pounder doesn't get his head in the right gap, and all of a sudden he's bounced out, and you got an inside zone spitting for about 30 yards. It has nothing to do with physicality. It has the fact that the defense didn't get lined up. So those are things to me that'll help us more. But what ends up happening when you're able to dictate the tempo of the game and you play fast, as a play caller, because I've done that defensively, is you're sitting there and you got to make a call, because you don't know if they're going fast or they're not going fast. And then all of a sudden they're going normal tempo, and you're thinking, I think it's a 2x2 set or a 3x1 set or a 2-back set or a twin set or a pro set, and all of a sudden it's not what you thought. And you're thinking, man, this is not what I want right here. But you can't change it unless they look back, and then you have the opportunity to change the defense. So those are all things to me that put pressure on the play caller defensively.
All right, got time for just a few more. We'll go over here on the right side on the aisle, second row.
Two-part. TJ Brunson and you have a pretty symbolic relationship. He was the first recruit you went to go see, and now he's the anchor of your defense. Can you just talk about what kind of player he could be in his junior year in this league? And second, Jay-Z and Beyonce open the stadium before you do. Are you going? What do you think of that? What do you think of that, them coming?
You know, TJ Brunson is the vocal leader of our defense, and a guy that's got the respect of his teammates, the respect of his coaching staff, extremely bright, hardworking, humble. Doesn't say a whole lot, but when he comes to practice, he comes with the right mindset. And he's the type guy you want your Mike linebacker to play like. So expecting a huge year from TJ. I think he's had a really good summer. He looks great, and I know he feels very comfortable with what we're doing defensively and making the calls and being our signal caller. We're excited about the concert. I don't know that I'll be there. I'll be honest with you. I know my wife is more excited than I am about the concert, and I know she will be there.
Go over here to the left side, second row, right in the middle.
Hey, Coach. Over here.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about the season that you spent as defensive coordinator at Auburn and how what you did there helped you transition into the head coaching position at South Carolina?
Well, we had a very frustrating year from standpoint of we certainly improved ourselves, but statistically, obviously not. When you go into a 4 overtime or 5 overtime with Arkansas, that kind of kills you a little bit. Losing Carl Lawson was the one guy we couldn't afford to lose as far as being able to affect the quarterback with 4 guys rushing. That was a tremendous struggle. But we had some great young men on that defense, and they have some guys that, you really look at the guys. We signed up, Carlton Davis, Jeremiah Denson, Tim Urban started for us as a freshman, coming in there, and those guys made a huge difference. Javaris Davis has had an outstanding career. Darrell Williams is playing extremely well. Deshaun Davis has had an outstanding career there at Auburn. Dontavius Russell's still playing there. He's got like 7 years of eligibility, but he is a fantastic football player and a better person. But to see those guys, Marlon Davidson was a young man we were recruiting that, they're having they got a really good defensive front, and I know they got to replace Trey and Steven and some of those guys on the back end, but they'll do a good job. I really enjoyed being there.
We'll go standing in the back on the left.
Will, back out here. What was it like owning a timeshare with Jimbo Fisher, and what are your favorite memories of it, and how often did y'all get to it when y'all were at Florida and Florida State?
Well, we didn't get to it when we were at Florida and Florida State, but we had a place down on the coast there in Caroline Beach down there near Destin area, and we bought it together when we were at LSU. And then, but we didn't go together. We went separate weeks, and then figured out that our vacation times were about the same time, so it was hard to work out. But Jimbo's a great friend of mine, and happy he's got an opportunity there at Texas A&M.
Final question. We'll go down here on the front row to the left.
The last couple of years, you guys have relied on a pretty small group of main guys in the secondary. I guess, how much of a challenge was that, and does that change with sort of the group of guys you're bringing in this season?
Well, we held our breath in every game not to get anybody hurt, because we were very thin in the secondary, although we had some very quality players. Chris Lamon's had a fantastic year this past year at the safety position, did a lot of really good things for us, DJ Smith, Jamarcus King. So we were very fortunate that we didn't have any injuries. We need some of those guys, and that was why we pinpointed with Nick and JT eBay are two experienced players as graduate transfers, and you pick up those guys to give you some experience that has played on Saturday afternoon before. I think we've recruited well at the position. I think we've got some really good young players that just haven't played.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you very much.